There is a woman with $2 million in the bank who still checks the price of milk before she puts it in the cart. She has a mortgage-free house. She has a job that pays her more in a month than her parents made in a year, and she still cannot spend $40 on a dinner without her chest tightening. This is not a money problem. This is a mind that was built in scarcity, and nobody ever told her the danger was over. Let's call her Elena. She grew up in a 2-bedroom apartment with her mother and 3 siblings in a building where the heat worked when it wanted to, and the landlord answered the phone when he wanted to. Elena remembers being 6 years old and understanding, without anyone explaining it to her, that the lights being on at the end of the month was not guaranteed. She remembers her mother turning away from her at the grocery store checkout so Elena wouldn't see her count coins from a plastic bag. Nobody sat Elena down and taught her this. She absorbed it the way children absorb everything, through the tension in a room, through the silence before her mother opened a bill, through the specific quality of quiet that fills a house when the adults are afraid and trying not to show it. By the time Elena was 10, she had already built something psychologists call a scarcity mindset. It is not a personality trait. It is not a character flaw. It is a survival adaptation, the brain's rational response to an environment where resources are unpredictable. The brain does what brains are built to do. It learns the pattern of its environment and prepares for it to repeat forever, even after the environment changes. Here is what almost nobody explains about growing up poor. It doesn't just shape what you think about money. It reshapes how your brain processes decisions. Elena went to college on scholarships and loans. She worked 2 jobs the entire time. She graduated, got a good job, then a better one. But she noticed something strange happening in her own body. When her friends suggested a nice dinner, her stomach would clench before her mind even did the math. When a co-worker mentioned an upcoming vacation, Elena would smile and mentally already be listing reasons she couldn't go, reasons that had nothing to do with her actual bank balance. She was hoarding money she didn't need to hoard, out of a fear that no longer had a real target. The moment that cracked things open for Elena happened 3 years into her marriage. Her husband, David, had grown up comfortably, not wealthy, but stable, the kind of stable where the lights just stayed on. One evening, he suggested they hire someone to clean the house twice a month, just $80, because they were both working long hours and exhausted. Elena felt something rise in her chest that had nothing to do with $80. She snapped at him. She said something about not understanding what it's like to actually need to save. David, hurt and confused, said quietly, "Elena, we have the money. We've had the money for years." That sentence sat with her for weeks, because he was right and she knew he was right, and she still could not make her body believe it. This is the invisible inheritance of growing up poor. It is not primarily about the numbers in your account. It is about a nervous system trained to treat comfort as suspicious, to treat rest as something you haven't earned yet, and to treat spending, even reasonable, safe spending, as the moment right before everything falls apart again. If you've ever felt guilty buying something you could clearly afford, go ahead and hit that like button. It genuinely helps this video reach someone else who's carrying the same silent weight. Psychologists studying childhood socio-economic adversity have found this pattern shows up in remarkably consistent ways. People who grew up in financial instability often develop what's called hypervigilance around resources, an exaggerated, automatic scanning for threat that applies to money the way a soldier's nervous system might stay alert to sound long after leaving a war zone. It's the same underlying mechanism. The amygdala, the brain's alarm system, gets calibrated early and doesn't recalibrate just because the environment changed. This explains behaviors that look contradictory from the outside. Some people who grew up poor become extreme savers, unable to enjoy money even when they have plenty. Others swing the opposite direction. They spend impulsively because deep down, some part of them doesn't believe money is real or lasting. So why not use it while it's here? Elena didn't fix this overnight, and she started working with a therapist who specialized in financial trauma. Yes, that's a real, recognized area of therapeutic work. She learned to name the feeling when it showed up. This is the old alarm, not the current reality. She and David started small, the $80 cleaner, then a weekend trip, each time sitting with the discomfort instead of letting it make the decision for her. What Elena discovered is something worth saying plainly: healing from scarcity. Thinking isn't about becoming careless with money, it's about being able to choose rather than being ruled by a decade-old alarm bell that never got the update. If you grew up watching adults you loved worry about money, and some part of you still flinches at spending, even when you know, logically, on paper, that you're safe, understand this: your mind isn't broken. It did exactly what it was built to do. It kept a version of you alive through something hard. The work now isn't punishing yourself for that response. It's gently teaching your nervous system that the season has changed. If this story meant something to you, do 3 things before you go. Hit like, drop a comment telling us which part hit hardest, and subscribe so you don't miss next week's story. We'll see you in the next one.